one of the things that's made me most worried that Donald Trump is going to engage in bombing Iran is his recent assertion
False narrative.
that they are developing a nuclear weapon that could happen in weeks or months, even though that is not what our intelligence community thinks. He reiterated that earlier today, saying they could have it in weeks, and when he was told that our intelligence agency could happen in weeks or months, even though that is not what our intelligence
Far from true.
thinks. He reiterated that earlier today, saying they could have it in weeks. And when he was told that our intelligence agencies, which just once again reiterated that that is not the case,
a few months
ago,
ago,
he was asked about that. He said that our intelligence community is wrong. And so,
to forget what she's saying, he thinks Iran is close to having a weapon, but gave no. He said this. He uttered this remark, but he gave no proof, no evidence to substantiate his claim. He's bugging all the way. This is crazy, yo. Crazy, crazy-ish, crazy. Uncle Murda.
Super run up to the war in Iraq. Just, again, baseless belief that we have to go
groundless
mass destruction. And one of the interesting sort of factional fights that developed from this was that to assert that, he had to contradict Tulsi Gabbard specifically, who had testified in March that they were not developing
There's no nuclear weapon.
And he seems dead set on the idea
that
she was
stubborn.
wrong. And that was fascinating. Tulsi Gabbard maybe being pushed out of the administration.
DJT, he's on this. He's on this intransigent-ish, bro. This immovable, stubborn, obstinate BS, bro. Yo, this is a shame, yo. Bro, this is really trash, bro. Really trash, really. Yo, this is really garbage. This is really terrible, bro. All the way.
To assert that, he had to contradict Tulsi Gabbard
for no good reason, bro.
Testified in March that they were not developing a nuclear weapon, and he seems.
This is John Idarola. John Idarola.
Fascinating.
He's a leftist commentator who works on for the Young Turks.
And that was fascinating. That they were not developing.
He has his own show too, The Damage Report, under the TYT network.
And that was fascinating. Tulsi that they were not developing a nuclear weapon. And he seems dead set on the idea that she was wrong. And that was fascinating. Tulsi Gabbard maybe being pushed out of the administration because she stood for the truth for once. And
the reality, the incontestable reality.
I think within a matter of weeks or so. On that, but first, here's Donald Trump being asked about this disagreement. I think within a matter. On that, but first, here's Donald Trump being pushed out of the administration because she stood for the truth for once. And we have a little bit of an update on that, but first, here is Donald Trump being asked about this disagreement. I think within a matter of weeks, or certainly within a matter of months, they're going to be able to have a nuclear weapon. We can't let that happen. What intelligence do you have that Iran is building a nuclear weapon? Your intelligence community has said they have no evidence that they are at this point. Well, then my intelligence community is wrong. Who in the intelligence community said that? Your Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard. She's wrong. She's wrong. And remember,
with no
Tulsi
basis.
Gabbard didn't just say that they don't have weapons. Like a week ago, she put out a really flashy Russian-style video about World War III. She seemed to actually not want us to engage in actions that could lead to nuclear war. And so finally, you have Donald Trump, who seems to be willing to gobble up propaganda and spread it baselessly to get us into a war, and Tulsi Gabbard standing for the truth, which after the last few years is refreshing. And if that makes you uncomfortable, it's not actually going in that way, because Tulsi Gabbard
she flipped.
The dishonest media is intentionally taking my testimony out of context and spreading fake news as a way to manufacture division. America has intelligence that Iran is at the point that it can produce a nuclear weapon within weeks to months if they decide to finalize the assembly.
This contradicts.
Clear that can't happen, and I agree.
Yeah, she's contradicting the reality now, bro. She's bugging. She's on some illogical illogical, irrational-ish, bro. This is crazy, bro.
The dishonest media
You know,
is intentionally taking my
she
testimony
caved
out
in,
of
bro.
context and spreading fake news as a way to
This
manufacture
is
division.
sucker-ish for sure. Sucker-ish for sure, bro.
Within weeks to months, if they decide to finalize the assembly. President Trump has been clear that can't happen, and I agree.
Wow.
The dishonest media is intentionally taking my testimony out of context and spreading fake news as a way to manufacture division. America has intelligence that Iran is at the point that it can produce a nuclear weapon within weeks to months if they decide to finalize the assembly. President Trump has been clear that can't happen, and I agree. They took it out of context. She said in March, the U.S. continues to assess that Iran is not building a nuclear weapon, and Supreme Leader Khamenei has not authorized the nuclear weapons program
Ayatollah Ali
in
Khamenei,
2003.
the supreme leader of Iran.
She said in March, the
He's
U.S. continues
referring
to assess
to
that Iran is not building a nuclear weapon, and Supreme Leader Khamenei
the supreme
has not
leader
authorized
is
the nuclear weapons program
the
suspended in
highest
2003.
position, religious and highest position of authority, political and religious, in which the person with the title is able to control all aspects of the lives of the residents and control and make all decisions, bro. Crazy. Dictatorship, tyranny, despotism, rulership, domination, tyrannization, craziness, bro. Craziness.
Trump has been clear that can happen, and I agree.
Wow.
They took it out of context.
Yeah, this really contradicts the reality. It isn't even realistic for Iran to build a weapon, and she said it can take a week. If my memory is correct, it can take a week for Iran to build a weapon or a nuke. Nah, correct. Yeah, did she say it can take a week? It said, if my memory is correct, she said it can take a week. Nah, they say it can take up to a year, or in certain cases it can take longer than a year. It all depends. But a week, nah, that is unrealistic. Yeah, that is too quick. That is too fast, bro. They said different factors can affect the time frame. It can affect when Iran can build a complete nuclear weapon, bro. A complete nuclear weapon, not a partial nuclear weapon, but a complete nuclear weapon. They say the weapon design is one factor that can affect when a complete nuclear weapon can be present. It can affect when a complete nuclear weapon, a full nuclear weapon is present. The weapon design is one of the factors that can affect this. The time period, the time frame when Iran is able to use a complete nuclear weapon. Weapon design. Also sanctions. They said sanctions too from the international community. Yeah. Sanctions. That is another factor. There's a multitude of reasons, but to be short, those two. There are two real reasons. Factors. There are two real factors that can affect when Iran is able to use a complete nuclear weapon. Those two reasons, those two factors are real factors. Facts.
The dishonest media is intentionally taking my testimony out of context and spreading fake news as a way to manufacture division. America has intelligence that Iran is at the point that it can produce a nuclear weapon within weeks to months if they decide to finalize the assembly. President Trump has been clear that can't happen, and I agree. They took it out of context.
How?
She said in March, the U.S. continues to assess that Iran is not building a nuclear weapon, and Supreme Leader Khamenei has not authorized the nuclear weapons program he suspended in 2003. Yeah. She didn't want to lose her job. That's it. This is utterly pathetic.
Yeah, the Ayatollah, he outlawed the he outlawed this. A fatwa happens. FATWA, they say a fatwa is a religious ruling. The leader can, the supreme leader mandated that nuclear weapons, he said that nuclear weapons they can't be used. Nuclear weapons can't be used. This is a mandate. This is a law. This is a law. This is a restriction. This is a prohibition. They said, or the supreme leader said, nuclear weapons are haram. Haram means forbidden or prohibited in Islam. The opposite of haram is halal. Halal means allowed, permitted, permissible. Haram is the antithesis. Haram is anything prohibited, impermissible, unable to be done. Haram, unable to be done. Haram, forbidden, prohibited, impermissible, those things. Facts.
She said in March, the U.S. continues to assess that Iran is not building a nuclear weapon, and Supreme Leader Khamenei has not authorized the nuclear weapons program he suspended in 2003. Yeah, she didn't want to lose her job. That's it. This is utterly pathetic.
Yeah,
I'm so glad you read
only
that
had
John, because
soft,
the nuclear weapons program he suspended in 2003.
gutless, invertebrate,
that's it.
pusillanimous,
Pathetic. I'm so glad you read that second
timorous,
John, because I was about to give her credit. Because, and I did when it first happened.
Yeah, I did too.
I thought Tulsi was going to be in favor of war against
we thought, but
so
we thought wrong. So, yo, my bad.
So
Lo siento.
Oh no, Ron's not developing a nuclear weapon. I was like,
Yeah. La acción no es loable. The action is not laudable, bro. The action is not laudable. Estaba hablando español. I was speaking Spanish.
No, Ron's not developing a nuclear weapon. I was like, all right, what creditors do. That's true, and that's, to be honest. And so I didn't believe her that she was anti-war. I thought Tulsi was going to be in favor of war against a Muslim country, to be honest.
The Arab
and so
country.
I didn't believe her that she was anti-war. And so when she came out and said, oh no, Ron's not developing a nuclear weapon, I was like, all right, what creditors do. That's true. And that's kind of an anti-war position.
Yeah, it is an anti-war stance. It is not just kinda. It is completely,
was going to be
fully, wholly
against the Muslim country, to be honest. And so I didn't believe her that she was anti-war. And so when she came out and said, "Oh no, Ron's not developing a nuclear weapon," I was like, "All right, what creditors do. That's true." And that's kind of an anti-war position.
Then she oscillated in her stance, like a sucker,
bending a knee,
a goofy.
Saying, she's totally lying. Totally lying. 100%
crazy.
Lying. And by the
Sad.
way, it's important to note, on behalf of
trash,
us, not on
garbage.
behalf of us, we got nothing to do with that war. Nothing to do with that war.
Nada.
So now let me go to Ted Cruz real quick. So he was with Tucker Carlson. You guys know, yeah, Carlson humiliated him, as Trey was referring to there. And when Tucker asked him, hey, what's so great about Israel? I mean, that's a very rough parable.
Yeah, it is crazy, bro. So many people revealed their true colors, bro. They are, so many people have been exposed. So, multiple people have been, so many people have been exposed for the clowns and bozos they really are, bro. The frauds, the charlatans, the deceivers, the swindlers, the liars, the BSers, the bullcrappers, bro. They have been exposed for the frauds, liars, cowards, deceivers, snakes, traitors, and goofies they really are, bro. It is nuts all the way. It is nuts all the way, bro. No bitter cola. It is nuts all the way. It is nuts. It is nuts all the way. Indisputably. No bitter cola. It is nuts all the way. Indisputably. No bitter cola.
Was referring to there. And when Tucker asked them, hey, what's so great about Israel? I mean, that's a very rough paraphrase, right? Create giant wars for you. And then what was the second reason he gave? He said, well, and it'll be fun to Israel and their war crimes and their aggressive attacks against those countries. Gee, did that ever occur to you, Ken? So they're all...
Yeah. I tweaked. My bad. My bad. Hold up.
One of the guys too, like Phil Lowry, just became a member at the Trump. They're all enormously corrupt. If you're trying to figure out,
well, not all, but a plenitude of these pro-Israel people, they are corrupt. This isn't limited. The corruption, the scrupulousness, the corruption, the crookedness, the unscrupulousness is not limited to the right. There, you have people on the left who are politicians on the left who are unscrupulous too. No cap. So this isn't limited to the Republican Party. You have many politicians in the Democratic Party who are corrupt, who are dishonest, crooked, trash, traitors, perfidious, traitorous, perfidious, treasonous. Unbelievable, bro. It is sickening. It truly is, bro. It is a shame all the way, bro.
And their aggressive attacks against those countries? Gee, did that ever occur to you, Ted? So they're all enormously corrupt. If you're trying to figure out who's better, Ted Cruz or Tucker Carlson on this, that is not a close question. You could sure discuss with the thought of entering a foreign war unprovoked.
TC is better. Tuck is better than Ted. Tuck has more bravery to say what the reality is. Not saying Tuck is infallible, but he's more laudable than Ted for sure. It isn't even a debate.